Welcome.
Hi.
So, we've all had it, and some of us actually have it now, and probably going to have it again in the future. And what am I talking about? And that is tension. Okay, so what is tension? So first things first. Now, tension is a physical, mental, and emotional strain on our being. Now, notice I didn't say body. Okay, I said being, because every single person experiences tension differently. Okay, it comes out and represents itself differently in every single person. Isn't that right?
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. There's obviously some commonalities between person to person, but most of the time it will be unique to you. So before we share with you like 7 real good ways for you to release tension in your system, we want to convince you really why you should care, right? Because you might consciously be aware of it and you know that you hold some tension, but it's not too much of a big deal now. So we're going to kind of dive into that for you. So let's jump in with some stats, all right? So back in 2014, there was some massive studies done worldwide, and it showed that 77% of people are experiencing physical symptoms. And when we say physical symptoms, this is physical symptoms of stress and tension, okay? So these are things like muscular issues, joint issues, organ function issues. This is like blood flow not being as efficient as it should be. This is people they're experiencing stress-related illnesses or lymphatic blockages or weakened immune systems. 77%. That is insane when you think about it, right? That's just physical symptoms. Okay, so psychological symptoms, for example, things like anxiety, overwhelm, burnout, overthinking, depression, insomnia, memory, focus, irritability, all of these kind of symptoms are all showing up psychologically within 73% of the population, which again is insane, right? So if you are experiencing it, just know that you're not alone and that it's absolutely okay, but dealing with it is the key, because you don't want to get to that point where you're experiencing all of those things, because a little bit of tension over in one place shouldn't then build up, and you shouldn't have to experience the heightened sensitivities of all of those symptoms that we just mentioned.
Definitely, and it's just crazy to think that over 2/3 of the population suffers from tension, chronic tension, and that is absolutely nuts when it's so easy to fix it. And we're not saying tension is bad, definitely not, because it has its place.
Yeah,
and in small doses it is good for you, like when you're exercising, for example, you need tension. When moments of stress in your life, where it's life-threatening situation, where tension is good for you. But having it 24/7 is not, okay? Too much of it has such a negative impact on our health, on our thoughts, our emotions, our energy levels, our ability to digest food correctly, okay, to get all those important nutrients that our body actually needs. It stops our ability to move properly as well. So the more tense we are, our body just isn't able to move the way it was born and designed to move, and it affects how long we actually live. So for those out there who are looking for these secret formulas to live longer, is
that magic pill.
Yeah, that magic pill, that cream. Get rid of your tension, okay? Release your tension, prevent it, and you're going to live longer. It's
the key to longevity, isn't it? Drastically. So guys, you need to know where it's coming from. You would have heard us say this before, that if you layer anything onto disconnection, it just isn't sustainable. So you can release tension in a moment, but if it's not something that you're doing often or you only do from time to time, you're not going to be able to keep that relaxed system or that optimum system, let's say, for as long as you could. So where does it come from?
Well,
we can share some ideas.
We are. So it comes from basically a misalignment of life choices. And again, we mentioned this many times, it all comes back down to life choices. Again, lack of movement being a big one. In this day and age, movement is, the kind of campaign of trying to get people to move more is just getting bigger and bigger, because jobs become more sedentary, lifestyles become more sedentary. We sit down too much, we drive a lot, sit at desks all day at work, and our movement just becomes so restricted. And then we've got our poor food choices as well. Again, food is so convenient these days with processed food, sugary foods, takeaways, fast food. It's just so easy to get the non-nutritious types of foods a lot easier than trying to go and get ingredients and cook a healthy meal. sleep hygiene is so big. We've done many videos on this in the past, we've done many podcasts on this as well, and sleep is just such a key to helping to release tension. And our sleep hygiene is so poor with a lot of us because again, we're staying up late watching Netflix, we're on our phones, got so much light, our body just thinks it's daytime all the time.
Yeah, and you're overthinking
and we're just,
all the time,
we're just constantly thinking.
Thoughts, so you can't sleep.
Yeah, exactly, and it just has a massive impact and rolling thing on there. Lack of boundaries is another one. So this one is
all guilty of this.
We're all guilty of this at some point, some still now. And that is, again, learning to say no, okay? And that means learning to say no to work and yes to family, or no to work and yes to rest. So it's not about just saying, oh, I've got to do all this, I need to say yes all the time. It's learning when, okay, I need to focus on me now and what's important to me, and create joy and fun in your life. Okay.
So many people misplay in their life, right? I used to, that's for sure. And it's just something that's so vital to let in your system flow and do what it wants to do.
Oh, for sure.
All right, so another thing, okay, or another place where tension comes from, okay, is our perceived reality, our perceptions of the external world and how we're interacting with it. Now, we did a whole episode on this already, so go listen to that if you haven't, on perceptions specifically. But basically, what we're talking about here in relation to tension is our response to perceived threats. So a little bit like John said there in terms of boundaries, you've got these ideas of, well, if I don't answer this email, this will happen, right? We have these perceived ideas that these certain consequences are going to happen, and it's not always true. And even if it is true, what are you doing to reduce that so that you're not having that level of tension in your life and those triggers in your life? Because prioritizing, what you're thinking about is going to help you to not get kind of distracted by what other people might think of you, or you mind reading a certain situation is going to play out in a certain way. So whenever we do that, we get a little dump of tension into our body, and what we want to do is start to stop putting so much unnecessary information into our system that's creating tension. And a lot of the time we're doing that. So unless you're taking care of your perceptions, you're always going to have some tension in and around them.
Yeah, for sure. And these perceptions kind of create habits and old patterns of learned behavior. So for example, most of us go through our day just stuck on autopilot. We get up in the morning, we go to work, we're just doing the same things day in, day out, and most of the time not even realise what we're actually doing. We're not aware of what we're doing, we're not aware of how we're thinking, how we're feeling. Most of the time we're not even aware of where we're driving to. We just kind of spend most of the day blacked out and then go, how did that happen? Okay, you're just stuck on autopilot. And
that's not always a bad thing,
no.
If you've upgraded your autopilot.
Yeah, but this is the problem, is most of us aren't upgrading, we're not changing, we're not creating change, we're not rebooting ourselves, rebooting our systems to be able to then upgrade to the next level, to be able to create new patterns of learned behavior to help us grow and get what we want. We just we kind of stick with the easy options, and this just has a compounding effect where we just keep, again, adding on and adding on and adding on, and as the years go by, that autopilot just becomes more set, and our habits and our old patterns just take over, and we just get to a point where we just completely forget kind of how to feel, how to think, how to move, how to eat, and we just think, okay, it's too much effort to change, we'll just keep going the way we are, and this just creates, again, that big kind of disconnection. And a good example of this is in our current society is, I hear this so many times, especially when people hit their 30s. For some reason, it seems to be an age. It's a magic number. Everything goes downhill at 30, and then, I'm too old now, or I've got this pain, or I feel tired. Oh, it's because I'm old now. I'm getting old. It's got nothing to do with it. I said the reason why we think this way is because most people, as they do get into their 50s, 60s, 70s, are experiencing pain or lack of movement.
We've modelled that degeneration.
Yeah, exactly. We've modelled it. We've created that model as we get older, and because we expect it, we just blame it on old age. But it's got nothing to do with old age. It's our learned behaviours, those old patterns we're doing in our early years that are affecting us later on in life. So basically, what you're doing now, like in terms of your moving, your food choices, your thinking, your emotions, is going to have a direct impact in the next 30, 40, 50, 60 years. So when you're like, you've got a question you got to ask yourself is, when you're 90 years old, what do you want your life to look like? Okay, do you want to be, if you're moving great now and you're full of energy, do you want to be the same when you're 90? Or do you believe in that old pattern, that old learned behavior, that when I'm 90 I'm supposed to sit down and not move anymore? I'm supposed to be uncomfortable or in pain, because that's what you're going to get.
Yeah, like John's biggest goal, I mean mine too, but John like is real serious about this goal, is that he wants to be like fitter than he was the previous year. So he's always getting fitter and fitter over time and healthier, and I think that's huge, because if more people adopted that attitude, you will be that success story at 70 with the old dude doing press-ups or whatever it is you want to be doing. And yeah, it becomes the new normal, right?
Yeah.
We keep hearing the new normal now.
Yeah.
You create your new normal and what that looks
Exactly.
like, and so start modelling what you actually want instead of what's already existed, because that's not been the healthiest for us. Go back to those statistics that I mentioned at the beginning.
Sure.
Alright, so listen guys, another way in which we kind of create and have tension in our system is from holding back. And what we mean by holding back is when you are restricting yourself from doing something that you need to do to help you live, okay? And that could be holding yourself back from making bold decisions. That could be you holding yourself back from expressing yourself. Lack of self-expression, whether that's emotionally or creatively, it doesn't really matter too much, but that lack of self-expression is causing your system to create and store tension in the system. We have this somatic response system where we need to exert ourselves. When we have something within us that is like too much for us to hold, and that is true. We do have a capacity on some level. So you get to choose what that is. So next time you feel angry, you need to express that, and that doesn't mean you need to go, beating everybody up. That means maybe you need to take yourself aside and breathe. Maybe it's a case of you going screaming into a pillow, okay, or punching the air. Like, whatever that is for you, you've got to get that out of your system. Creatively, if we've got so many creative juices flowing, we need to get it out of our system. We need to speak up, we need to sing, we need to paint, we need to just talk to somebody. Whatever that is, it's a form of expression, and that is your nature. So when we hold back, we keep that in our system. So it's not just the negatives that we hold back in our system that creates tension, but it's also the real good stuff that's in there, that's locked in there, that needs to come out. That is also a form of self-expression that's going to help you to release tension.
Definitely good. A thing a lot of my clients in the past used to do, and when they come to me, they always wanted to do boxing and do pad work, because they just had all this tension, all this thing they wanted to release. And it was a good way to let them express that, is to hit some pads and release and let go of that tension. They felt so much better after it. But again, doesn't mean everyone has to do boxing, but you've got to find, like Charlotte said, find your own way to release that tension and just that somatic response and let it out, but in a healthy way.
Exactly, and we're going to share with you some other options that don't include pad work.
Yeah, definitely. But when you, obviously, we collect tension, we collect that blocked energy all the time. So imagine that you're wearing a backpack. Okay, so you've got nothing in that backpack throughout the day. Everything, like all those kind of uncertain thoughts, those emotions, that tension, those feelings, that old habits, you start collecting them. You think of it, you feel it, whatever. You literally think of it, and each one is a rock. You take the rock, you put it in the bag. Okay, every time you feel tense or you get that feeling, that thought, you collect it, put it in the bag. Over the day, that bag is going to get heavier and heavier and heavier. Now imagine doing that over weeks and months and years. You're going to get to a point where you literally can't move, you get stuck. And that's what a lot of people go through with tension, is they keep filling up that backpack day on day, week on week, month on month, to the point where they literally can't move. They become just like stuck where they are. They just don't know what to do. What we're going to show you ways on how to remove that backpack, so you free you up. And when all that tension that gets stored up, it gets stored in something what we call fascia. Okay, and fascia is something that literally surrounds every single part of your internal system, of your body, organs, muscles, bones, and so on. And your fascia is what we call a crystalline structure, and it literally holds all the information of your life. So it holds your memories, it holds your past traumas, your emotions, it holds everything. Okay, so when when you are tense, when you're feeling you've got kind of unserving thoughts, unhealthy emotions that you're not kind of releasing, that all gets pent up. It's like those rocks in a backpack. It's like your body's collecting them, and they get stuck, and they get into these sticking points, and they cause again pain. They can cause any anxiety, overwhelm, all manner of kind of issues, and this gets you stuck in something called the sympathetic nervous system, and this is your stress response system, your like fight or flight. And like we said earlier, in short doses it's okay, but when we're doing it constantly for days, weeks and months on end, it can affect our health in very, very negative ways, can't it?
Yeah, absolutely it can. And it's like we're gonna share with you some of the ways in which to reduce the tension. And it's, if you've ever used a hose pipe where you've got water running through it and flowing nicely, but then there's a block for some reason, in our body the same thing happens, right? We get this block inside the hose pipe, but then when you do some techniques to release it, it's that feeling of flow. It's like a hose pipe when the water finally just flows out, right? And you can create that feeling for yourself. Before we share those with you though, I'd really love for you to just hit pause, okay, on this episode and think to yourself and literally imagine, what would your life be like without the tension that's in your life and in your body? What would your life be like? What would you experience? How would you show up? How would you feel? How would you think? How would your current reality be? And then ask yourself, well, okay, when I am 70, 80, 90 years old, how do I want to be showing up then? You know, what role is tension playing in your life when you're that age? Because without connecting those dots together, it's highly unlikely you're going to create lasting change. And obviously, as you know, that's what John and I really want for you. We want you to be able to create this lasting change, so you don't have to experience all of these, you don't have to be a statistic. You don't have to experience any of the things that we've kind of mentioned. So let's kick off then with the first one. First way in which to release tension.
Yep, and the first way is kind of one of the most important and the foundation for everything else we're going to discuss, which is breathing. Okay, your breath is the foundation for everything that we do, and by working on your breath, it helps all the other steps that we're going to discuss become flow better. And it's it's a quick way to create relaxation. It's by breathing correctly, it triggers your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest system. So this gives you calm, makes you relax, and gets everything functioning again. Like for me, for example, the big game changer for me was breathing, was working on my breath. So some of you might know, I struggled with chronic back pain for 4 years. And again, tried everything, okay? Massage, trigger point therapy, chiropractors, injections, all sorts of stuff. Again, everything was just a quick temporary fix. And it wasn't until I started working on my breath work and my breathing that, again, my body started to switch into that parasympathetic mode, and that tension I was feeling, that chronic pain, just started to dissipate. And within 2 weeks, it was completely gone, because obviously I'm practicing it every day. And now I do practice it every day. I do it every single day. Morning and evening, and now obviously it's a preventative measure where I don't experience that pain anymore, and has never come back again. And that is kind of the key to everything else. And the reason why that pain went, it wasn't anything physical that was happening, is because I wasn't breathing correctly. So because I wasn't breathing correctly, my body was tensing up, and it was getting more and more tense. But when I started to breathe correctly, everything just kind of connected together and relaxed. And
like the hose pipe.
It just went, everything, like that backpack just came off, literally, for me. Like my back just felt nice and loose, everything was relaxed now, and it just felt much better. And a good way to start with, if you've never kind of thought about your breath before, is I'll show you one technique which is called the ha breathing. Okay, it's literally you breathe in through your nose for 5 seconds, and then you breathe out through your mouth for 10 seconds, but saying the word ah. So you breathe in,
so you want to always make sure that the inhale is half of the amount of the exhale.
So you breathe in for 5 seconds, out for 10 seconds. So do this for as long as it takes for you to feel relaxed, and so minimum 10 times, or as long as it takes for you to start feeling that feeling of relaxation and calmness. And you'll probably feel like your body just becomes, again, light and that stiffness that you might be feeling kind of starts to dissipate.
Yeah, definitely, because like John said, like earlier on, it's like the fascia stores all of that information, so you're not just breathing out air, right? You're breathing out the things that don't serve you, and that's where it becomes so powerful. So the second way in which you can reduce tension and release tension is by heightening your emotional awareness. Okay, so it's about making sure you acknowledge how you're feeling, learning from how you're feeling, because remember, our emotions are energy that are stored in our system, right? So if we acknowledge it and we can learn from it, we don't have to repeat it. And you'll notice that's what happens, right? We get angry once, then we get angry again about the same thing. So why? We didn't learn what we needed to learn from it, right? You've heard that before, but it's now getting stored in the body as tension. So the minute you become aware of it and you're like, hey, actually I do feel a bit angry today, or I feel hurt today, or I feel sad today. Okay, cool, what can you learn from that? And then do some breath work, for example, and let that go, because then you get to create space for some high vibrational emotions, which is the good stuff, okay, that helps the tension to stay away, essentially.
Great. So the third, or the next one we're going to move on to is called progressive muscle relaxation. So if you've never done this before, what you do is you're going to do this on every single part of your body, your arms, your legs, your chest, your stomach, about everything. So what you do is that you pick a part of your body, so start from your, for example, your arm, and you're going to tense up. You're going to tense up your arm for 7 seconds. Okay, so really tense it up and then relax. Then move on to the next part of the body. Tense up for 7 seconds and relax. And do this for every single part of your body. And what this is going to do is going to help retrain, is what it's going to train your stress response on demand. So that means when you do get into those stressful or kind of tension-based environments or situations, your body already has that automatic response to deal with it. So it's more effective, and you'll go through that progressive muscle relaxation without even realizing it, and you'll start to release that tension and kind of deal with those situations much more effectively. And a good time to do this is obviously not when you're in that situation, because the whole point is to prevent that situation or make that situation much easier to deal with. So doing it before you go to bed is a great time to do it, because again, you're releasing that tension and relaxing the body before you're about to go into a nice sleep.
Definitely, guys, just with that one, if you are having any kind of heart condition or high blood pressure, do not do that exercise, okay, without speaking to a doctor first. And also, if you've got a specific injury in a certain area, then maybe tensing it up is not going to be the best thing for you, but you can do it in another area of the body, and it will still start to train that response system nice and effectively. Alright, so number 4, okay, the fourth way for you to release tension, you've heard it before, meditation, okay? Meditation is so powerful because it helps to slow down our thoughts, okay? And in turn, that slows down our system, which allows us to, again, reach that parasympathetic nervous system, which allows us to get into that relaxed state so that we're not feeling so stressed and tense. What we want to be doing here is understanding that our thoughts are a part of the reason why we are experiencing the tension in the first place. Like I spoke earlier about perceived threats and our perceptions, this is why meditation can be so helpful, because it helps to shift those perspectives. And when we shift those perspectives, we are so much more able to think resourcefully and show up in a different way, more calm, relaxed and centered, so that we can then engage with the world around us. So taking some time to meditate is going to help you to literally slow down your thought patterns, which in turn helps those perceptions, which in turn then is very good for your emotional and mental stress release. And also, guys, if you're brand new to meditation, you're like, oh, I've tried this 100 times, it just doesn't work, just dedicate 3 minutes, literally just 3 minutes every day to just follow your natural breath. If your mind wanders, no worries. When you notice, just bring it back and notice your natural breath again. Because that alone is going to help to slow down your thoughts enough to start releasing some tension in your system. And I'm pretty sure we could all afford 3 minutes every day.
Definitely, guys. So the next way that you can help release tension is probably one that most people tend to try, is massage and trigger point therapy. So this works by, again, when you have that build up of tension in the fascia that we spoke about earlier, it creates those sticking points, those pain points. By doing massage and trigger point therapy, it helps to release that tension and create more flow around that area. So by doing that, releases the tension, loosens everything up and makes you feel better, but it is a temporary fix.
So what is trigger point, if anybody doesn't know?
So trigger point, for those who aren't aware of what that is, so in your muscles, every single muscle has trigger point areas. So when muscles become restricted or tight due to, again, posture, lifestyle choices, injuries, emotional or like emotional issues, like lack of stored emotions and thoughts, they can create little nodules within the muscle. So that the band of muscle becomes tight and restricted and starts to collect toxic waste around the area, which causes the pain spot. This pain spot causes what we call referred pain. So that means you start getting pain in other areas of the body because of that problem. So, and this is where most people go wrong. They try to treat the pain. They go to a massager, I've got pain in my lower back or my neck, and they massage the area, but that's not fixing the cause of it. So we need to go to the cause, which is the trigger point. And then once we go to the trigger point, we have to release that, and that we can do by massage therapy or trigger point therapy. So like literally doing it yourself with your own hands, using a foam roller, using a massage therapist or a physio. But that's not the only ways you can release those trigger points, those little nodules of pain. Breathing, like go back to the first one, like breathing is a key for this one, okay? And the reason these nodules have come up and the reason this tension, these pain spots happen is usually because we don't breathe correctly. We stay in our sympathetic nervous system, that stress response, and that is what's causing, one of the reasons we're causing these pain spots, these little nodules, these trigger points. So by correcting our breathing and getting our body into a more parasympathetic state, we can start to release these trigger points and these pain spots and get our body functioning better. Because when we fix the cause, all these other problems, all these other little pains and niggles, it's a domino effect. It starts to fix everything else. So just remember, massage and trigger point therapy are a short-term fix. Okay, so if you want to feel the benefits of them, of that, I feel released, I feel no tension, I feel relaxed, then you've got to do it regularly. Okay, that means like literally daily, weekly, and so on. So if you can't afford a massage every single week, then maybe do one a month or one every 2 months, but then buy yourself a foam roller and do your own self massage every day. Okay, but that is a temporary fix. But by learning to breathe as well will help you to release those pain points in your body.
Nice. It is so powerful when you do start to do that and you start to experience the feeling that it gives, because that's when you really start to see how much further you can go in anything, in any area of your life. So number 6, the way to release tension. Point number 6 here is movement. Okay, so you've heard us speak about movement, generally speaking, in the gym, for example, but in those kind of movements, tension is key. You want to be working under tension, but we don't want to take that home with you. So lower intensity exercise obviously is going to be super helpful for releasing tension. You don't have to go hard and go crazy every day. But what we do want to encourage you guys to do is some form of yoga or qigong, something that is combining movement, breath and flow and meditation together, because when you do that, again, you get to reduce those little nodules that John just mentioned. In qigong, for example, you don't only learn the different flows and movement patterns, you will also learn how to do some self-healing and self-massage and to hit those different meridians so that you get to release the tension in different pathways in your body. So it's a very powerful way to flow into your body and release that tension.
Yeah, for sure, guys. And it's important that you combine, like Charlotte said, combine that movement, that breath, all that flow into one, because majority of us, when going into exercise for the first time or even been exercising for a long time, with kind of tightness and restrictions, you've got such a huge percentage. Literally, I've been working in this industry for nearly 2 decades, and 9 out of 10 people I see have some type of restriction or pain or issue. And when you find out how they move, you understand why they have that. Is because they're so restricted. We're talking about those little pain nodules, those restrictions, those trigger points. Think about it as if you have an elastic band with a knot in the middle. So without the knot, elastic band can stretch quite easily. It's quite pliable, it's quite flexible. But when you've got a knot in the middle, you limit the range of motion, the movement, the mobility of that elastic band. And the same happens in our body. So when we have that restriction, we have those trigger points, we have those kind of issues, when we move, we're placing immense amounts of stress on those muscles, on those joints, without even realizing it, because we don't understand that connection. And by going through movements our body's not ready for, or increasing intensity too quickly, think about what's going to happen if you stretch that elastic band too much with that knot in the middle. It's going to snap. Yeah. It's going to tear. The same thing happens to your body, which is why so many people get injured when they go to the gym or exercise programs or running, is because they're not aware of what's happening inside their body. Whereas stuff like yoga and qigong combines movement with breath, helps you to release that tension and get things flowing through movement as well. Okay, instead of just going to the gym and hitting the weights when you're not ready for it. So it's important to realize that movement, breath, obviously like mindset, all ties into exercise, movement, and everything that you do.
Yeah, definitely. So number 7 is my favourite out of all of these, and you're going to find out why.
Yeah, so 7 is about preventing it in the first place. Okay, so it's okay going through all these things. Okay, this is how this is how you stop tension, this is how you get rid of tension, but how do we prevent it in the first place? Well, how we prevent it is, first of all, is what we've already discussed. So breathing, emotional awareness, progressive muscle relaxation, meditation, massage, movement, is doing that consistently, day on day, week on week, month on month. Okay, that's the first step, is being consistent with it. Okay, because if you're not and you're only doing it once in a blue moon, you're only going to get a very, very short-term fix on it, and all your tension, your pain, everything is going to come straight back again. So consistency is key to the above as the first step.
Yeah, definitely. But really going into the preventing is you improving the quality of your thinking, okay? Because when you do that, you are then able to align your choices. You're able to think about the thoughts that you're thinking and deal with different perceptions better. You're able to cope and be more self-aware when certain situations happen and certain feelings show up in your life, or certain situations that could be deemed stressful or not. You're able to align how you want to live your life with the choices that you make. If you, and I'm sure you would because you're a growth-minded person, would have paused this episode when we said to, and you've imagined what your life would be like, free from any tension, and what it would look like in the future. When you actually take the time to do that and really map that out, you're able to align the choices you want to make now so that you can achieve what it is you visualized for when you're 70, 80, 90 years old. Because that is where the true power comes from. Because when you are connecting those things together, your body will condition itself. Right? You just need to give it the opportunity, the parameters and the environment to help it to achieve what it is you're saying that you want. So improving that will obviously definitely help to prevent further.
Definitely goes. But the bottom line is that living with tension is a choice.
Yes, it is.
Okay. It might not affect you now consciously, but it definitely will affect you later on in life.
100%. All right, guys. So as always, if you've got any questions on anything we've been speaking about today, reach out to us. Head on over to wellnesstheory.com. There's a whole bunch of extra information over there. You can read this, you can take notes on it, you can comment, and you can ask us direct questions over there. You can go and do our wellness quiz. Yep. What else can you do over there?
Everything.
Yeah, exactly.
loads of free valued information and education for you guys there. Okay. On everything that we always speak about. So jump on over, go through it, and we're always here for you anytime you've got us questions.
Guys, if there's anybody that you think will benefit from this episode, please share it with them, because the less tense the people around us are, the less tense you will be as well. All right. So until next time, we'll see you soon.
Bye.